Most people in the area are aware of CSI's work, but there are still some people who are not. Many of you present have been involved with the Child Saving Institute for some time. Others of you are most likely new to the organization. In any case, we're here now, and it's time to talk about the work and the many ways each one of us can contribute. In fact, if at any time during my talk you feel the urge to donate to the work being done, I am not going to feel ignored or get my feelings hurt. I want you to just leave your checks made out to Child Saving Institute on the table, because the work that's done is important. Thank you. You know, what's so crazy about humans is that we're often in denial. That means that some people actually prefer to imagine that Omaha, and in fact life in general, treats all children with love and care, with all adults involved and intent on helping children grow up to be bright, grow up to be healthy, to become productive adults. And thank goodness, for most of us here, that was true. We're able to get ourselves here. But it's not the case for many homes and in many settings. What I've come to speak about is a big topic. It's not an easy topic. It is in most cases an ugly topic. Very few institutions in Omaha, in the United States, and elsewhere in the world have the courage to deal with the ugly and painful parts of many children's lives. The Child Saving Institute has this a part of their work and serves our community well. Thank you. For over 35 years, it's kind of funny to be able now to say things like that. My life has been focused on the development of healthy children and women. I have had a focus on girls, but I've seen both girls and boys who need to be loved and cared for. For the first part of those 35 years, I was actually ignorant in my quest to serve. I may have been a good teacher. I may have been a good speaker, but I didn't understand the truth about how children, girls and boys, are misused in the ugliest of ways. Through our work at FGI International, my business partner, Tim Rouse, and I, this is the man with the camera, have had the privilege of working back and forth, as Melissa mentioned, in Russia, in China, and in India for more than 70 extended trips over the past 20 years. That's a lot of suitcase packing. Though we started speaking about this as early as 2005, it was in India that we actually became involved with the issues of human trafficking. We have been able to work directly with the victims. Prior to going into India, we were determined to meet Dr. Sunita Krishnan. We'd read about her work. If you read Half the Sky, and I hope some of you have read the book Half the Sky, you will read about Prajwala, the organization dedicated to rescuing and saving children used in sexual slavery. Prior to being in India, we made up our mind we must meet her. She agreed to see us. We did have some intervention from some Indian friends who were our clients. We told Sunita we came to hear her so that we could better understand the issues of sexual trafficking. We promised her we would share what we learned with people in the U.S. And today I'm continuing to fulfill that. And over the years, Tim and I have spoken, I don't know how many times, but more than 100. She told us the story of her work. It was difficult to hear. And finally, we had gained her trust. And she looked at us and she said, I want you to meet my children. She took us to a faraway place on a secret route where we entered 12-foot-tall gates, guarded. And inside was the school and where the children lived. The first Prajwala classroom that we visited were the 4-year-olds. They sat cross-legged on the carpet, and oh my, they were tiny and so beautiful. They had huge dark eyes and bright minds and beautiful smiles. We saw those bright minds shining through their eyes. They sang for us, and truly, my heart melted when they began to sing in English, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. They had prepared that because they knew we were coming. We saw these little girls, so recently just babies, and admired their beauty and their bright minds. And yet at the same time, we had to remind ourselves these precious little girls had been rescued from sexual slavery. We met the 4-year-olds. We met the 5- and 6-year-olds. We met the age groups, all the way up to 35 and over. In nearly 100% of those rescued by Prajwala, that's the children 4 to 17 and the women 14 to 40, they ended up with not only the deep psychological scars, but with multiple serious physical injury and illnesses. Whenever we worked with them, it was heartbreaking, all the issues that they had to take care of constantly. Not to be inappropriate, but one of the worst times was during break time, because their bodies were not able to take a break and relieve themselves in the same way we are, because their bodies had been so deformed as children, because they had been raped so often. And yet, with love and great care, they have been educated. Some of them are now college graduates. They have been cared for physically and emotionally and healed by Dr. Krishnan and her staff at Prajwala. We provided educational programs in India over 3 consecutive years with Prajwala women ages 17 and older. In spite of all they've been through, we found them able to learn and thrive with us. In leadership curricula, we had earlier designed for U.S. professional and business women. In other words, we took the actual U.S. leadership programs known as Influence and their curricula that we have offered for over 30 years in Omaha, plus in Denver and Phoenix. And those women ate it up. They loved it. Is there anybody here who might be as old as I am and was in Brownies or Girl Scouts? Okay. Well, maybe you remember the song Kookaburra. The most joyful, wonderful time I had in India working with those women is I taught them to sing Kookaburra in rounds. And they laughed until they cried with joy. And they said, you understand that we can learn. And I knew that they could learn anything. The curriculum that we used is from the program, the leadership program Influence for women. And there are several Influence alumni here today, and I'd just like to recognize you. Would you just stand so I can see where you are, Influence women? And of course, Laura is one of them. Of course, after so many trips all over the world, it was always good to return home to Nebraska, the good life, right? us here. I'm guessing most of us in this room really do have good lives. And yet, different situations. I believe the more I speak, perhaps other women will begin to learn more and speak out about these issues. See, right now you don't have to look it up, you can just say things I said, because it's all true. Once we know this truth, we cannot and we must not pretend it does not exist. We must stop pretending, and we must help society stop pretending. I hope many of you will share what I am saying with you, and share it with others who are willing to listen. Give up using your energy on those who refuse to believe it's true. The statistics are everywhere. I want you and I ask you to share what I am saying to you with others. We care. We have voices. We must speak out. Women and children need safe places to stay. They need to feel they are safe. The Child Saving Institute is one of only a handful of such places for children in Nebraska. We are here today because of the Child Saving Institute and the work they do. Children need safe places, but they also need laws to protect them. After several years of being considered and consistently vetoed by our governor, finally this year in June of 2013, a bill that has been continuously sponsored by Nebraska Senator McGill, Amanda McGill is her name, from Lincoln. The Nebraska lawmakers finally passed the bill. She had been opposed year after year, but she did the right thing for children and was finally able to gain the support to pass this bill. The bill finally makes human trafficking of minors, selling children for sex, a form of child abuse in Nebraska. I ask you, what else could it have been? I mean, is this a big deal to say that's child abuse? It's a big deal to finally pass it, but to have grown men and women sitting in our state legislature and say, oh no, that's not child abuse. I don't think the parents laughed when did they? No. Are you shocked it has taken nearly 10 years to pass this bill in Nebraska? Yes, of course we are. But they aren't even written about. We have to do deep research to find this. I want you to be shocked. I ask you to demand more for our children, whether they are our blood children or not. They are our children, all of the children. And we have some responsibility to speak out and to volunteer and to contribute. Those of you who love Nebraska, I don't know if you're from Douglas County or Sarpy County or from Lincoln or wherever you are, but you may too often be living in denial or simply not understanding what happens here, close to our homes, close to our children, close to our grandchildren. For example, during the past 30 years of my life, I have been very proud that Omaha hosts the annual College World Series. And I'm still proud, so do not misunderstand. However, I used to think it was just all about family and outings and young athletes competing and learning about life. However, because I'm a detective part-time, I work hard to understand what is really going on with regard to how women and children are treated. And sometimes, doggone it, my balloon bursts again and again. Melissa, it happened again when I read a KTV news story online in June. Here's what I read and heard. This is not exactly what I read, so it's what I understand. Because of the demand in Omaha during the College World Series, young women and young girls are specifically brought in to this state and this city. Why? Because major sporting events all over the United States equal even higher demand for buying sex from children. The younger the child, the more the sporting patron is willing to pay. In that article I read, Detective Greg Chase, who's a part of the Omaha Sex Trafficking Task Force. Yes, Omaha has a sex trafficking task force. He says, these girls of all ages do not have the option to walk away. They are physically beaten. They are sexually abused. They are psychologically beaten down to where they can no longer fight back. But how do you like this timing? Just yesterday, right before I'm coming, the feds, our government leaders, changed how they view child prostitutes. They had heavy support from the FBI and the Justice Department. And as of today, children held in prostitution will be considered victims, not criminals. How could they not be? Surely this issue of protecting women and children from sexual assault and trafficking must tug at your heart just a little. Surely your stomach might be turning just a bit. Because it's not right to have to imagine a young child being used in this way. I cannot, I have not, and I will not stay silent. I have now said this out loud. You have now heard it. What I tell you is true. This is not going to go away without action from women and men like us. We must read more of the news. We must dig for this news. It's not the front page news. We must become better educated. We must speak out and demand safety for children and safety for women. Well, you've already heard me ask you to write a check. I'm also asking you to do more. Please, get involved and learn more about these issues. I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy to hear. But the more you learn, the more you will be called to serve. How can we be here? Great spot, good lunch. We love our communities, we love our neighborhoods. And now I'm going to ruin it for you and tell you one more thing. The I-80 corridor is one of the biggest prime areas for sexual trafficking in the United States. I mean, we all live pretty darn close to I-80, don't we? And the truck stops all over the United States are a major location where sexual trafficking takes place. Not only with women, but with children as young as 8 to 11. When children are misused under the age of 3, they usually don't live. Certainly if they are misused in the way that I'm describing, which I'm not purposely not describing, if they are misused under the age of 2, generally they are not able to live. I would like to commend to you this book, Renting Lacey, a story of America's prostituted children. It's written by Congresswoman Linda Smith. Renting Lacey. One more time. In the traffic, in the truck stops on I-80, women and children as young as 9 to 11 are forced to be sold. These children need to be saved. No one of any age deserves or desires this work. No child deserves this horror. And thank goodness we are here today supporting the Child Saving Institute. Somebody's phone is quacking. However, I want you to remember there are boys and girls in the Omaha area who every day also are mistreated, beaten, and raped in their own homes. Right, Peg? In their own homes. In other words, can you remember, if you had a safe childhood, how great it was and how cozy it was to get into your bed and get your pillow scrunched just the way you like it and feel safe and grab a teddy bear if you needed one? Some children don't feel that way in their homes. The work of the Child Saving Institute is saving, rehabilitating, and caring for these girls and boys. This is important work. And if you feel you want to support this work one more time, please remember to leave a check made out to CSI on the table. This work must be done. The Child Saving Institute is one of the local organizations working tirelessly to protect and care for our children. I know it's been great fun today. It's been great fun to get here, see your friends. It's been great fun to look at some marvelous purses. I mean, we love purses. That's wonderful. And to enjoy your friends and have a good meal. But at the same time, please, remember the serious work that goes on day in and day out at CSI. I ask you, please, speak out about what I've said to your friends and neighbors. Speak out about what children deserve in terms of being cared for, being loved, being allowed to grow up with healthy, safe lives. And most of all, stay aware and learn more about the work being done that is saving and healing and teaching children right here in Omaha. Thanks so much for having me.